Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and today is Friday, February 6th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. First up, if you want to catch up on all the webmaster SEO related stuff around Google specifically over the past month, we got a recap up on Friday, February 6th, so definitely take a look at that. There was a lot that happened over the past month, specifically at the second half of this past month of January. So definitely take a look at that if you want to catch up quickly. Talking about what's going on, a lot happened this week as well. We saw significant search changes or fluctuations in the Google search results, specifically this week. Specifically, it was on, I think it was on Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning. A lot of people noticed a lot of stuff going on. A lot of the tools out there, Mozcast, Alguru, SERP metrics. So you see all these huge fluctuations, 90 degrees weather, huge fluctuations over here. Alguru jumped up there. I think they actually named it something, and you can see here as well. So you can see all these different things are actually covering it. I asked Google about this, and Google said it has nothing to do with Panda or Penguin. They told me specifically they're constantly making tweaks to their algorithm. Their typical thing. Actually, they actually changed a little bit. They said they're constantly making, as usual, they're constantly making tweaks to their search stuff. That was their quote, and they also said that, and I asked them again, I had to follow up with them, that it was not Panda or Penguin specific, so we're not really sure what it was. I don't think it was mobile related as well, so I guess time will tell in terms of if Google will tell us what it was or not, but there definitely was major fluctuations on that day. Sorry. I should probably get a new iPad. Anyway, big news this week on the business side of things, which could impact search and SEO, is that Google and Twitter are now partnering again to bring back the tweets, the firehose tweets, specifically real-time Twitter data, directly into Google search results. And what that means, and what it did mean back in 2011 when it was available, 2009 to 2011, was that Google had a real-time search engine that actually showed you real-time search results, mostly from Twitter, but other places as well. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm surprised they actually went ahead with this. I don't think Google needed it. Google actually was able to index the more important tweets, but Google now could access more data from Twitter, I guess. Maybe they're actually going to pull in follower accounts, pull in retweets and other things that might give them better signals to determine what tweets are actually high quality versus what's not. So we'll see what happens with that. Pedro Diaz, a former Googler, said, and pretty much said what Matt Cutts, I believe, said back in the past. In the past, Google built a whole infrastructure to plug Twitter's firehose, only from the bail after 1 year later. So Google invested all this money and engineering time into building something that brought in Twitter data using the firehose, and then they didn't renew their deal, and it just went blank. And I'm surprised they're actually doing this again. We'll see how they go about it. And of course, SEOs are like, how can I go ahead and get my content into Google faster to go ahead and abuse the algorithm? So we'll see what happens. Not SEOs, but certain black hat SEOs. Sorry. This is interesting. So a while ago, I documented how Google was actually showing Google Answers for their own stuff and having these quick action buttons like learn how and these buttons over here. I don't know if you can see that. So now what happened is we're actually noticing that Google's actually showing these action buttons for third-party websites. So if you do a search for WordPress download, you get this. If you do a search for QuickBooks install, you get this button. These little icons that actually lead you someplace. These are Google Answers, not with actual action buttons actually suggesting people to go to a specific third-party site, which I like better. That was my solution for how Google could steal your content or borrow your content and actually drive you traffic. So we'll see what happens with that. It's hard to know how Google's going to handle that. Obviously, this actually works with Roll Your Dice, Google Easter egg, which I showed you months and months ago. It works with love quotes and stuff like that, but it's only on the site itself as well as with Google. Now for the first time they're actually using third-party websites to show these new action links, which I like to call them. I don't know what Google's calling them, but I'm calling them action links in the Google Answers box. Talking about Google Answers, Google has come out with, they've been testing this for about a month or so, a mortgage calculator. So if you do a search for mortgage calculator, interest calculator, or a specific query around calculating your mortgage payments, Google's going to show you this mortgage calculator at the top. Of course, this is a major keyword for a lot of financial sites, mortgage calculator. That's a big interest rates, interest calculator. That's a big keyword phrase for a lot of these sites in that niche. And that has gone away now with the Google search result and Google's answer box for the Google calculator. So here's an example of what it looks like. You can say, how much can I borrow per month? And it'll actually give you an answer right here. And there's other answers I could get, but basically this is the Google mortgage calculator that shows you those details right here. Of course, that industry is a little bit upset about it. Google has vastly updated their reconsideration request documentation. They've broken it down tremendously to give people step-by-step instructions on how to actually submit a reconsideration request. They've documented the process behind what Google does to process your reconsideration request. They explain what they expect from a good reconsideration request. They actually give specific examples about how to clean up specific issues and other things. So you definitely want to take a look at that if you're a newbie. This is more for those who don't know or haven't been penalized before in the past. This is kind of shocking, and I hope to do a bigger study around this. There was a webmaster who sent out about 84 emails to webmasters that they spotted on the web, website owners that they spotted on the web, saying, do you want negative SEO services to harm your competitors, which would ultimately result in your website going up? And the results are pretty shocking. 48% said yes, right away, I want to hire you. 31% said, give me more information, I'm interested. Only 21% of those people who responded actually said, no, I'm not interested in hurting my competitors to benefit myself. And I'm going to hopefully do a bigger study on that. It was done by a webmaster. And it's obviously a limited study, but we'll see what normal webmasters see by doing a much larger study to a much larger audience. We'll see what happens if I can get that going outside of the SEO space. Google Webmaster Tools started sending out emails for deep linking stats. So specifically impression data as well as click data. So here's like an email from Webmaster Tools showing you that stats by date for the past 7 days, by day, impressions and clicks for app indexing data. So if you have an app and you're using app deep linking with Google, Google will actually, it's obviously only Android right now, Google will actually give you these emails. Of course, we covered a few weeks ago how they're actually sending out errors data to people who have problems with their Google app deep linking. Next up, this is I think it's a bigger issue than Google's telling me. So I asked Google about this. There was a story written a couple weeks ago or a week ago about how Google Chrome users in the UK are being redirected, or some Google Chrome users in the UK are being redirected to Google.com US results when they do a search in the Google Chrome Omni search box. I initially sent it to Google. Google said it's probably just a few, it seems like it's a few limited users. They should submit a ticket through the report IP problems form on Google. But it's a much bigger problem. It seems like a lot of people that I know in the UK who are using Google Chrome are actually being redirected to the US, and obviously that impacts searchers in the UK. Getting US results in the UK can impact search results as well as webmasters and SEOs. So we'll see what happens. Google's collecting data. If you have that issue and in the UK, definitely submit that form to them so they can actually go ahead and fix it. Google AdWords released their bad ads report, basically saying they banned over 200,000, well specifically they banned over 214,000 advertisers in 2014 and over 524 million ads in 2014. And they go through the details of what they do to it, and then they have this huge infographic talking about it as well. So Google's doing their part to go ahead and make the search space a little bit better by banning advertisers, even though it might impact their bottom line. Google AdSense has actually launched a new feature in mute this ads. So you've seen this, you can actually click mute this ad and it would actually mute the ad. The cool thing about it is now, if you click on mute this ad, it will ask you a survey why you want to mute it, and then the ad will, when it's complete, it would actually move up the ad, it would actually move up your content in place of the ad. So here's the ad, and the content will actually move up in place of the ad when you actually click it. We could give it a try now live. Stop seeing this ad. You can say it's irrelevant. And let's see if it scrolls up. Maybe not on the iPad. But I tested this on other things. It actually does scroll up, and maybe I can't remove a Google ad, but we'll see. Last up, Matt Cutts. We miss him. I miss him. I think he's a great asset for the webmaster community, the SEO community at Google. Obviously, he had a lot of weight there, and he was really, really tied into our community. But it doesn't mean that he's on leave now. He's been on leave since July of 2014, so almost it's coming up in a year soon. He's still plugged into the industry, so it was interesting. So I spotted a post by Matt, and he said, you know what? Somebody actually asked him a question about that Google Chrome UK issue. And he's like, well, you know what? You should send examples to John Mueller. And he referenced him. I believe he's looking into it and hasn't found as many as some claim. So obviously he read my blog post, Jennifer Select blog post about this, as well as the other blog post about this. And He's like, all right, I see there's an issue with Google. He knows that John Mueller specifically is actually taking people's information on this, and he's like telling people who are complaining to him, saying, go to John Mueller. So he's actually plugged into the industry to keep on track of that tiny little detail about Google Chrome maybe having an issue with UK users redirecting to the UK. Anyway, Matt, if you're listening, we do want you back. Maybe come back once a week. I don't know. Or maybe reactivate Google Guy. So see if you have a post on Google. If you're watching this video, maybe post on Google Guy at Webmaster World just to spark some interest in the community. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz Radio Recap. Again, my name is Barry Schwartz, and today is Friday, February 6th. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Bye.